Hey, welcome back. You're listening to Good Deeds, Real Estate with a Mission. I'm Bill Weidecker from the Fine Homes Group at Keller Williams, and she is Diane Davidson, my wife, also from the Fine Homes Group at Keller Williams. And we're talking all things real estate. We've had a really interesting morning so far. We've talked about primarily the seller and getting ready for the market, which because this year is it's the most opportunistic market I've seen benefiting sellers in a long time, and it's been good. But this may be the cream of the crop, and so I'd like to put a bow on that discussion about preparation, and let's finish up with that. You said put the coffee on and we're going to talk, and so they come out of there, or you leave and they stay in the house, but they have a plan in place.
We have a plan. We have a plan for our next visit and what we hope to accomplish. We have a plan for other professionals to come in and weigh in. So it's different every time. There are no two homes are alike, no two seller homeowners are alike, and so we absolutely consult and customize what best next steps would be. We leave knowing what's going to happen next, and they know what's going to happen next. And I think that can be really scary. It can be really scary not to know.
We've heard from some clients in the past saying, "Well, I don't really want to do a thing. I don't want to spend any money.
Yep.
I know it's going to cost me thousands of dollars. Aren't I better?" We had one client, was a parent of a high school friend of mine, who said, "Maybe I just call and get a cash offer from one of these." Billboards or television ads. I'll just have somebody buy it that way. I don't have to do anything. And it really comes down to how much money do you want to leave on the table?
Right. And everyone does not have an appetite for it, and we're sensitive to that. Everyone has a different, like I said, different circumstances. So we work through that. And, we've heard people most commonly say, do I have to? Do I have to? There's no have to. It's our job to lay out all of the options and to help them understand what the likely results are from each option or from each combination of options. That's what we do. And then they decide. And there are never decisions made that first day because we're not finished gathering information, right? And so
Sure.
It's a multi-step, multi-phase process. And if someone says, absolutely not, I want to do nothing, I don't care what it costs, that's fine too. That's absolutely fine. It's not, we advise and they decide, and that's how we practice our business with buyers, with sellers, with whoever we consult with. That is, we give advice and the decision's up to them.
Yeah, so it's not we're telling people what to do.
Nope.
It's a consultation.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. Now, here's the other big thing that most sellers are thinking about, and that's like, show me the money. How much is the property worth? You tell me. So they're thinking first meeting, you're going to tell me what I need to do. If anything, I'd rather do nothing, and I want to know how much the property's worth. I have an idea, but I want to know from you, the professional. So how do we handle that? How do you handle it? How does the team handle it?
By telling the truth, because we can't possibly know exactly what any property is worth, and nobody can, frankly. So we know a likely range, and it's our job to talk about the different ways and also what's important to somebody, because a property is worth a different amount if there are some terms that are favorable to the seller that are important to them. The seller might be willing to take a little bit less, or they might get a little bit more because there are certain things that the buyer is going to negotiate in the transaction. But the point is that it's really impossible to tell anybody exactly what their home will sell for. We talk about the offer, the purchase and sale agreement, where there are over 100 blanks. And so it's always a combination of price and terms. And without knowing the terms attached to the price, we can't know the price, right? So we can give somebody a range, and we can talk to them about techniques and strategies we use to get them the most favorable price and terms possible.
So, we do hear that there are concepts of how to price a property, and people will say, well, let's just base it on the most recent houses that have sold in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. Especially the ones that are just like mine.
Mm-hmm.
Is that? It sounds like a loaded question I'm about to ask you, but what's your thoughts on that?
It's a barometer. You don't want to be way off, but without knowing anecdotally what else is attached to. I'll give you an example. If a seller closes and gets to stay for free in their home for 6 months because they wanted to, that might be at a price that's slightly less than if they closed and the buyers could move in, right? Mm-hmm. So the point is that it's a barometer, but we do something called competition-based pricing, which means we are mostly looking at what else a buyer could buy. Because when somebody is buying a loaf of bread, for instance, their choices are what's on the shelf, not what somebody else just walked out, not with the last loaf that somebody just walked out with. And so when buyers are looking, maybe they've seen some of the properties that have closed, and so they understand what those look like, and they can compare. They can sort of make draw some conclusions on their own. And likely they've seen some of the properties that are under accepted offer, under contract, because they might have been in the market for a while and they might have gone to look at those properties. But their choices are only what's available, right? And so we look at that and we look hard at that to see, and we also understand, not to sound creepy, we get inside a buyer's head. We do that with the experience that we create for them when we offer properties, but we also understand that a buyer isn't just looking for a yellow cape that's 3 bedrooms between 1,700 and 1,900 square feet. They might be looking in 7 different towns. They could be looking in northern Massachusetts. We start looking much more on a much more macro basis, the way a buyer would, and to see what their choices are. And that's how we start approaching the pricing. As I said, the closed properties, it's a good sort of check and balance, but it's not what a buyer is not up at 1 a.m. going, how do I figure out what closed so I can figure out what I want to spend on it? They don't do it that way. An agent, a good buyer's agent, will help them through those numbers when the time comes, but that's not the way we price, because that's not what the public can purchase.
Well, if you take buying just about anything, you're usually looking at what does the competition look like? What else is out there?
Yeah, let me read a label. Let me look at a price.
You're not buying clothing saying, I wonder what this garment was selling for a month ago.
Right.
You're only dealing with what you've got for decision making today, with what's available to buy now.
Correct.
I like this concept of competition-based pricing, because if I'm a seller and I was only relying on sold properties, prices would never go up.
Correct. Yep.
They'd always be the same price that the most recent sales were.
Although many sellers would build that in, right? Well, that house just sold. I hear the market's going up. They got $350. Let's put mine on for $360. There's another thing we look at, Bill. We look at, an offering of property is an action, correct? Mm-hmm. An offer by a buyer is a reaction. Many agents, I think, make the mistake of looking at what a property sold for, which is the reaction, versus what it came on the market at, which is the action that caused that reaction. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So a property closes at $362 because it was asking $350. And so someone looks at $362 and says, oh, I'll price it $362, or mine's a little nicer, I'll price it at $378. The point is that they are pricing based on, they are strategizing based on something that happened as a result of the offering. And we don't believe that that's the right way to go.
Yeah, because ultimately you are going to reach some number where the market gives pushback.
Whoa. Yep.
To your point, Bill, I should have offered $5,000 for my house because that's what it sold for in 1936. Like, oh, that's what it sold for? Come on.
Exactly
Let's go.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. You might have to go over maybe 5,100.
There's a hard cap.
But it is the case is that most sellers are thinking, I need to know what the price is. Mm-hmm. So, we will give you a really good idea from a range, and then we will give you a plan as to what you're going to need to be thinking about, and ultimately you're in the driver's seat. So really fascinating conversation. I would like to switch gears when we come back from break and talk about the buying side, because there's preparation there as well. And so you're listening to Good Deeds, Real Estate with a Mission. I'm Bill Weidecker from the Fine Homes Group at Keller Williams with Diane Davidson, also from the Fine Homes Group at Keller Williams. And we're here to serve, and we're coming right back. So if you're a buyer, stick with us. If you're a seller, you're going to want to hear these strategies as well. We'll be right back.